Hello everyone, Curious Corduroy here, and today we are going to be checking out a new interview with Briana White and John Eric Bentley, the voices of Aerith and Barrett in the 7 remake trilogy, respectively. That was a big mouthful. Now, this interview comes to us from Square Enix, where they got to sit down and talk to each other. And this is super cool because everyone on the cast is great, but when you get John and Briana together, you're gonna have a really good time. So I'm really curious to see what they have to say about playing these characters, what it was like getting cast, their thoughts on the story, all that good stuff. So if any of that sounds cool to you, feel free to click the like button, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Even something as simple as clicking the like button really does help out a lot, and it's always much appreciated. Now, if you guys would like to check out the video without my dumb self yapping over it, I'll leave a link in the description down below. It's coming to us from the Square Enix page, so it's pretty easy to find. And the video is also about an hour long, so this is gonna be a long one. So grab a snack, grab a drink, lock in, but hopefully it's gonna be fun. Let's do it.
You and me should act out a scene right now.
See, you're like the person. You sing? Sing!
Let's do it. The only one I can think of is the classic line that people's favorite Aerith line.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that. No, I can't look at you and say that. That's mean. That's a mean line.
I think I know what line they're talking about, so. I think it's the dumbass line, right? Does that make me a dumbass?
John, I'm so happy to be talking with you.
First of all, out of all the people in the cast, I mean, everybody's mad cool, don't get me wrong.
True.
But you and I have been on this journey since
E3 2019.
E3.
In the summer.
When COVID first hit.
No, before that.
When we found out I got labeled as COVID boy because I was hugging people.
You always hug way too many people. But our first time meeting was E3 2019 when the Tifa trailer was released.
And
everybody saw Tifa for the first time, and we were sitting in the theater and we got to hear everyone lose their minds.
I forgot about that.
And then there was Vancouver.
Which we
later.
really got to chill. That was really fun because we got to hear our hearts about everything because after E3, a lot of the things started coming our way that many of which I didn't expect or didn't know about. And then in Vancouver, we got to share our stories.
Exactly. And we had done most of the recording by that point, and so we kind of, especially with my lack of experience, I got to ask you, hey, is this normal? Is that normal? Am I just not cut out for this? And I will never forget what you said to me. Sitting across the table from me.
What did I say, Breezy?
You said they cast you for a reason. And you are allowed to be in that booth and to bring what makes you special to the acting. And that just opened up a whole new world for me.
Yeah, you got the job because of what you did. And then what you did was take it somewhere else. And when you took it somewhere else, it was because you made it your own. You already knew the fan base because of who you are and what you do. But when you personalize how you wanted to do the character, and then you develop that character, the world got to see.
That's so cool. Just to speak first on the Tifa reveal, I remember when the Tifa reveal happened at E3, everyone was like, yo, are they gonna show Tifa? Because we got that really awesome press conference kind of developer thing with Square Enix where they brought the game back and they showed it to us for the first time after they had gone radio silent for years. And a lot of people were like, this is never gonna happen. They announced the game and then they're just gonna cancel it. But they ended up doing that big E3 2019 presentation, which I still go back and watch from time to time because it's that good. It puts a smile on my face, and just to see everyone so happy with the big reveal of what the game was actually gonna be because it went through a facelift was great. And that moment where Tifa gets revealed, such a big thing because everyone was like, we've seen Cloud, we've seen Barrett, we gotta see Tifa, especially in action. And we got that, and it was so cool. And to speak on what Briana is saying, we've covered a few interviews in the past where she's talked about that imposter syndrome and feeling like they didn't get the right person for the role, and she would kind of beat herself up. And I think she said there was one day where she had a really, really tough week in particular, and she went home and just cried. And it sucks to hear that because she's so good in this role. And She adds so much to the character of Aerith. Everyone in this cast does a phenomenal job building on these characters, and Aerith is such this fun, outgoing, full of life character that is very curious, but she also has those moments where the literal weight of the planet, so to speak, is weighing down on her shoulders, and Briana does a phenomenal job portraying all of that. And John is also someone who just seems like the dad of the group. He's very much like a real-life Barrett, gives great advice, always praises people, and he's been in the industry for a long time, so he's got a lot of experience. So for him to say that for her and just kind of like be like, hey, you're here for a reason, it's super cool.
And I gotta brag on you, because it's what I do. You know,
It is what you do.
Because I just think that so many don't realize how tough it is to do what we do. I gotta brag on you because you did come to me and go, "It's my first job. I don't know if when you were in the booth, did you?" And so we shared all that, and you were very, very vulnerable and very protected or guarded.
Yeah.
Is the word.
Yeah.
And I still think people are sleeping on you. But this is what I have to say to that. I'm going to say it now.
Okay.
Are you ready for me to
I
say
know
it?
I can't stop you.
You know, I gotta say this, and look at you now, because this reads. Let's. You can blush as much as you want, but truth is truth. Golden Joystick Awards 2024. All right, Best Supporting Performer, Briana White.
She did it, man. And this, again, is her first role. And for her to be so good right out the gate is astonishing. But what I love even more is that you hear the progression that she has in her voice and the confidence that she has from Remake to Crisis Core to Rebirth. She's grown so much as a performer, and I'm really excited to see what she does in Part 3. And for her to be, again, someone who like really struggles with that imposter syndrome, for her to be nominated for a performance award and then win it, that's got to be such a validating experience to be like, okay, maybe I am doing something right.
Thank you.
Put it right there. Here.
No,
Boom.
no,
Put it
no,
right
no.
there. You can put it
No,
right
you
here.
can't separate Aerith and Barry.
Okay, we'll put it together.
We'll put it
Put it
behind.
to the side.
Put it
Okay.
right here. There we go.
But I have to brag on you because I think the vulnerability is what allowed you to be genuine. You know what I'm saying? And that's why when people sleep on folks who are good and when they do it from the heart and they make the franchise, the company, and the project something extraordinary, that's the result of what happens. And you're nominated for another one. You got me?
Which is crazy.
It's awesome. It's awesome though.
It is
so
awesome.
From that little girl inside in Vancouver who was like, I don't know if I'm gonna tell you like what they say where I grew up, look at you now. Right?
Well, I can't overstate how grateful I am to you for giving me the permission to really be an artist in the booth, because I guarantee you I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for you. And so I'm very grateful to you for all the support that you've provided throughout the entire process. I mean, I've really with my coming into this project with no prior experience, really leaned on you and leaned on the other members of the team. And I'm so grateful.
Oh, you did what you did. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you, and
Thank you.
I'm grateful for the game, but
Me too.
the journey.
So
These two are so wonderful together. Cody's won a Voice Performance Award. Brianna's got one. Britt Barron won one. And now John is nominated on the long lists for the BAFTAs. And I think in a couple of months, we'll see if he makes it to the short list. I'm crossing my fingers he does. He just kills it, not only in Remake, but in Rebirth. The performance this dude brings to Barrett, I think the word is gravitas, that he brings to the role. He adds so much complexity and so many layers to Barrett. So I'm crossing my fingers that, we can get John on the list and hopefully he pulls through and wins, because everyone is just so good in this franchise. And again, for Briana for this to be her first thing ever, and like John says, people were kind of sleeping on her, but for her to get nominated and eventually win one of these awards, it's just super cool. And also, this is how we structure these videos. Sorry if it's annoying that I pause and talk, but the whole point is to react to what they're saying. And I give my 2 cents for what it's worth.
we've talked a lot before, but take us back to like the beginning of your acting journey.
Oh, wow. I guess the beginning of my
Yeah.
acting journey is when
Yeah.
I was 5 years old. And my mom taught me how to read at a very, very young age. For the kindergarten graduation, they wanted to do this big, graduation thing and performances from all the kids. So we were on the west side of Chicago, and it was in the same area where the riots happened when King was killed. And the teacher said, hey, I want someone to do the Martin Luther King speech. And I said, oh, okay. And my mom was like, yeah, he'll do it.
Really? She volunteered
She volunteered me. And I'm like, what's the Martin Luther King speech? She's like, baby, you've seen it. I have a dream. I'm like, oh yeah, that we watch it every day anyway. We're here, okay. And I said, okay, cool, because I could read. And she said, no, you're gonna memorize it. I said, what does that mean? I'm 5.
Yeah.
And she said, I want you to memorize it and I want you to present it, to the people. I said, what people? She said, the people that come to the graduation. I was like, okay.
Wow.
And so I memorized it and we did it, and I'll never forget the reaction of the people who were watching. Because first of all, it was in that community. Second of all, the people who came to the graduation were coming to see their grandchildren or their children. And so all of the people who had been through that time in life applauded and cried and called out. And I went, wait a minute, words can make people feel that way? Emotions can come forth like that? And me, I was very shy. I was a kid who wore glasses, probably as thick as Barrett's head.
I'm gonna need to see a picture of that.
I'm sure my wife
You're
will
gonna
love
have to pull it out of the archives.
I think I still have a pair of the glasses, but
oh my gosh.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And so I went, oh, this can make people feel that way? Yeah, I think I like this. And that was the bug, and that kind of started, until later.
That's an amazing core memory.
I don't know, it's a heavy memory.
Yeah.
Because of where I went to school and the
Yeah.
things that I experienced. And, and that was the beginning. Then sports happened, and then everything else kind of fell in. How about you?
That's really incredible. For him, especially to do the MLK speech, I feel like you kind of see bits of that in his performance as Barrett. Barrett is just a dude who just cares so much about saving the planet and helping people and doing what's right. So to imagine like a 5-year-old John Eric Bentley, not just reciting the speech, but performing that speech and probably feeling the energy of what those words mean, it's still very relevant to today's world and what's going on. Crazy how that's what put him kind of on that path of wanting to be an actor, that little bug. To actually move people with performances and words, super cool. Super, super cool.
It's not as impactful as your story.
It doesn't have to be impactful. It's the beginning. The beginning is always impactful because it's what started you.
Well, similarly, just from when I was very young, I auditioned for my first school play.
There you go.
It was Annie.
Oh.
And I got cast as Molly.
Oh.
And so my parents were very proud, and they bragged about the fact that I had the very first line in my school's very first school play.
That's awesome.
And I think it gave me a sense of community that I didn't have. It when you get to rehearse together, and then you're friends with the people that you act with, and then you all get to like go to the post rehearsal dinners, and it's a sense of friendship that I was really seeking and that I really felt like I needed. So for me, like that gave me the theater bug, and from then I've kind of just been searching for that sense of community ever since.
Oh, you got it. I mean,
know.
you got it with Strange Rebel, but you got it
Yeah.
anytime we look. Well, we're going to get into that in a minute. First of all, I'm not going to gloss over the fact that you got a role in Annie. So that means everybody, Breezy can sing.
Okay. Yeah, the 7-year-old me had the confidence to sing no matter what.
It's in you.
It is. I do like to sing. I really
Okay.
enjoy it. And I did musicals all through elementary school.
Those aren't easy. You know that.
No, they're not. Singing is very close to my heart, but I kind of lost that actually. I just,
Really?
Yeah.
The desire, or
Not the desire. I just got very self-conscious singing in front of people.
Really?
Very suddenly. Yeah, out of nowhere. It
Ah.
was like I heard myself sing a couple bad notes, and I really internalized that when I shouldn't have. I expected perfection from myself when I shouldn't have. And I haven't got over it yet. I have to take some singing lessons and work through it maybe.
That would okay, because you can hear how you play with melody when you do Aerith.
Yeah.
We hear it. You play with melody, so you understand pitch, you understand tone, you understand staccato, legato.
Yeah.
It's funny that John says that because when you hear Aerith speak, there are moments where she speaks and it's almost like she is singing. My dad talks like that when he's on the phone. It sounds like he's singing because of the way that he speaks and the cadence of, speaking Spanish. But I can relate to Brie on this one. I took 2 years of drama in high school. I loved acting, but it made me so nervous. The first big thing I remember doing was, I think it was Death of a Salesman. We were doing one act, so it was just one scene. And I don't remember my performance. I blacked out. I was so nervous. I was told I was good. But it's a very, very scary thing to be out there and to portray a character and not being sure of what people are going to think. And then also singing in front of people. You got to be super vulnerable when you do that and not be in your own head. So any type of acting work, you're not working in a warehouse or building houses, but it's a very vulnerable type of job to do.
You can hear it. So that's all part of you. So it is dynamic.
Absolutely.
And it is the beginning, and it is impactful.
Yeah.
Not just to, you and your parents with the experience, but now with the world who gets to see you do your thing.
But don't tell people that, because then they're going to expect me to sing, and I'm not ready yet.
Okay, we got to put that disclaimer out there. Because it always
Exactly.
happens. I heard Breezy can sing. Say something. But we're going to go back to the sense of community.
Sure.
I've had the privilege of doing several now conventions with you.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, community, like our team, it's more of a private, more intimate. But man, for us, when we do our conventions, I see that you're a lot like me. We have created this thing when we go and do these conventions where it feels like community.
Yeah.
So there's another sense of community along
absolutely.
with, Strange Rebel and everything else. So how does that feel to you?
I love going to conventions and meeting people face to face, because so much of what we do is so isolated. We stand in front of a microphone and, and then we just have our headphones where they say, can you do that again?
True.
We didn't really love that take.
True.
So when we get to go to a convention and meet the people that we've worked so hard for, that's really special. That's the best feeling in the world. Not because they come up and say, oh, thank you for your work, because that's lovely, but truly I love to hear how our work has made their lives better, because that's what makes the hard stuff worth it. Because it's a dream job, of course, but there are hard parts about it.
Yeah.
About our job.
Yeah.
And so it really helps to hear people talk about what it means to them, our performances, so that we can push through those hard moments.
Tell me, at least 2 of the greatest stories that you've heard from fans and from people who have come up to you about the impact that you've made as Aerith.
I can tell you a story about a couple that came to my table in Portland and purchased a print from me. And so do you want your name on it? Sure, I'll write your name on it. Do you want a quote? Sure, I'll write the quote. I'm signing it, and I start to hear one of the couple, she's an Aerith cosplayer. She's in her Aerith cosplay, and I hear her start to sob. And it's not the first time someone has cried when they've come up to my booth, so I'm about to, comfort her, like, oh, it's okay, like, I'm just a person, I know it means a lot to you, but it means a lot to me too, like, I'm so happy you're here. I don't even get to say that because I see her sobbing, covering her face, and then I look, and the Zack cosplayer that she came with is on one knee. and proposed to her
That's awesome.
while I was signing their print
awesome.
right in front of my table.
That's awesome.
I couldn't believe I was so shocked, and it was amazing.
That's
and
awesome.
she said yes, and then everybody clapped, and it was like the most special moment ever. I will never forget that.
That's
the
really
fact
cool.
that they thought that meeting me and getting a print signed from me is such a special moment for them that they wanted to make it even more special by cementing their future together
Oh my gosh.
in front of me. Like,
That's so good.
I mean, come on.
That's awesome.
What am I supposed to do?
Oh, that's so
Like, that's
awesome.
mind-boggling, you know?
That's great.
That's incredible. I mean, that just goes to show you the power of not only their performances, but the things we love in general. The people that have made friendships, or in this case, had relationships and then got married because of Final Fantasy is nuts. That's so sweet. That's just such a cool story.
That's great though.
Absolutely crazy.
But
yeah.
that's when you know that's that feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's like you've been a part of their thing, right? You know, whatever that thing is, that you're a part of that. You're deeply rooted into it. Hey, I'm a Zach cosplayer. I'm an Aerith. I'm gonna do this right in front of Breezy. You know, that's special. Yeah,
Really, really special.
Ooh, that's a
I know. That's
goosebumps on
right. Like that's a pretty tops moment for me. How
That's
about
awesome.
you? What's your tops convention moment?
There were several, but there was one guy in Detroit, and I guess it was more memorable for me because this brother reminded me of a family member. So he came to me and said, "Hey, I just wanted to meet you. I just wanted to meet you, you know, because you're my fan. I'm a fan, you know, you my dude. I put you in my party all the time." Big dude, right? He's bigger than me. So I'm like, all right, cool, man, you know, it's great. And he's like, "No, I really wanted to meet you." And I'm like, all right, cool. He said, "I'll be right back." And I'm like, okay. You know, because usually the handler's like, "What do you want to print off?" He's like, "I'll be right back." He came back and he brought his girl. And his girl was like, "This is who I told you I wanted to meet." And she's like, "I'm so glad." He's like, "The only reason I'm here is because my brother told me that you were here. I just got off work. I wanted to come and meet you. And my girl's here." And he said, "She doesn't even know how big this is for me." I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You want me to do something? He said, "Oh yeah, let's do something for her." And did something for her. They left.
Okay.
He came back again. He said, "Listen," and this threw me because this, like I said, this is a dude, man. He looked like a football player, looked like he had been through things in life. He said, "Listen, my girl didn't understand why I told her to leave so I can come back and talk to you." And I said, "What's up?" He said, "You started the day when we were in line, and you came in and you put on some music."
I remember that. Yeah.
And I'm like, there's something about it. I just needed to move, right? Because we
Yeah.
were starting our days. It was Sunday.
It was Sunday.
And we were
yeah,
all
we were
tired, you know. And I'm like, let me put all this music on.
Yeah.
I told everyone, I said, I know it's Sunday, and I know this isn't a church song, but we're about to have church up in here. And he came back. He said, that right there made me know that something special is about to happen. I'm like, what's gonna happen? You know. He told me his whole story, and the story was brutal. And he said, when I left with my girl the second time, I went behind this podium and I just cried. He said, she didn't see me. He said, I cried and I came back. I wanted to talk to you about it because you walked with me and you prayed with me and no one's done that for me. He said, the only person who's done that for me is my grandmother. You know, he said, and this happened in the church and the pastor came up to me and he said, he encouraged me. He said, that was what that was for me today. And I was like, whew. You know, and I'm like trying not to cry. I'm trying to be tough like him. He's gone. I'm gone. And I'm like, walk with me. Let's just talk and pray. And we did. And I won't forget that. I'll never forget the impact that our platform has allowed us to have.
Yeah.
And if we can't be real,
Yeah.
what's the point in having the platform?
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was one of the stories.
I just think it's so beautiful how I've been a crier my whole life. All I do is cry. I can't stop myself. But there are so many people out there who really have trouble expressing their emotions. And the fact that our game can allow them to do that is one of the most beautiful things, in my opinion,
That's true.
about the work that we do.
I think the innocence, the pureness of your character in Aerith and what you've done with her has allowed people to go, hey, you can nurture me right now because you speak positive. And then they meet you and they go, oh, that's why you got the role. You know what I mean? So I think it's awesome that you get to feel that reciprocation. You get to feel what you've created, and people have let down their guards when they come to you.
Well,
These characters, I know it's video games, and some people might look at video games and be like, oh, it's just a video game. These characters are so incredible and they're iconic. And I think when you play the games when you're younger, you just think they're cool. But then when you get older and you have more life experience, you start to kind of relate more to the characters and to the themes of the stories, and it hits you way different. You have personal experiences that remind you of the games, or you just become so inspired by the character that you're seeing, or like maybe there's a representation that you're not used to seeing in said game, and you can relate to that, and that kind of makes you feel a little bit more connected to not just the character, but the people behind the scenes, the people actually bringing the characters to life. And obviously there's some boundaries there when it comes to like parasocial stuff. Don't be creepy. But to see that these characters have bits of the actors in them, it's not just them reading the lines. Briana puts some of herself into Aerith. John puts some of himself into Barrett, and that moves people. It's so cool that this kind of medium can afford that. And when you're playing a game, in the case of Rebirth, you're spending hundreds of hours with these characters, and they kind of feel like, as Hamaguchi-san had said, like he feels really close to Cloud because he spent so much time in development with that character. So Cloud, to a degree, kind of feels like a family member to him, and that's how these characters kind of feel for a lot of us.
well, I mean, talk about yourself. You have been able to craft a role of a man who is so tough and yet so incredibly soft. I mean, he is both ends of the spectrum. Barrett is as tough as iron, but also he's so soft and so gentle with Marlene. And you're showing people that manly men can be both.
Yeah.
And that is so important, and it's such a rare portrayal. I mean, truly, I think it's up there as far as like video game dads with like Joel. Like someone who's super tough and yet super, super caring and loving as well. Like Barrett is that. And Barrett is that because John is that.
Oh yeah. Barrett is one of the best characters, I think. Not like Briana said, not just like father kind of characters. He's got so many layers to him. He is that tough masculine dude, but I think he is what masculinity probably should be. And it's, you can be tough and defend people, but you can also have that softness to you and nurture people and care for them and be protective. You don't have to be like, rah, rah, all I eat is steak and butter sticks and I'm a man. Like Barrett is so complex, so incredibly complex. And a lot of that, again, is because of John. That nuance that John brings to the character is just so special.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I have to be. I got a beautiful wife, and I've got 4 beautiful boys, young men now. You know, it's a slice of life. It's you've got to always say, if there isn't any of you in the characters that you portray, then you got to ask yourself how much realism is in what I've created, you know, for the project. But thank you for that, and you know, that was the goal. Yeah. You know that, though. We've had this conversation before where we didn't want Barrett to be a caricature. We wanted him to have layers, and for people to see layers. That was very important to me, and I think that's why Final Fantasy VII is so impactful for people, because there's something in every character that people want, or they've experienced, or they can relate to. And so that's the beauty of what we do. And then we got wonderful directors and booth techs who tune in our strengths and tune out our weaknesses.
And thank goodness for that.
Who are you telling? Who are you telling? Let me ask you this.
That just goes, ow, I hit my wrist. That just goes to show you how far Square Enix in particular has come with the writing, the voice direction, all of that stuff. It's gotten so much better over the years. Final Fantasy X was the first voice acted Final Fantasy, and I really like it. I thought the voice acting was good. I thought the writing was good, but obviously there is a massive gorge, you can say, between the voice acting back then and the voice acting now, because so much has just gotten better. I think the localization has also gotten better. But also, in the case of 7, these actors are just really, really talented. Cody Christian as Cloud. A lot of people think Cloud is just like this monotone kind of character, but there's just so much to that character that Cody brings to the surface, much like John does with Barrett and Briana does with Aerith. It's fascinating to hear this stuff and to learn about like their process of bringing these characters to life.
Sure.
Because people have asked me this question. I've never heard you, and I've never asked you this question.
Okay.
For scenes that you know are coming or find out that they're coming, that actually require emotion from you, do you get a chance to prep, or how do you prep?
No, I really don't get to prep. No, even for the scenes that are incredibly impactful and emotional, like the end of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, I didn't get any notice ahead of time. And we never do.
But you never knew that was coming that day, right?
That day. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know until the lines pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
And so
That is super challenging. As an actor, if you're doing on-camera stuff, you usually have time to prep. You have the script ahead of time, and you can go, oh, based on the schedule, I got to do a really sad scene this day. I have time to prep. Not with voice acting. Cody Christian even said the day they filmed, spoiler alert by now, Aerith's death, he said that like the feeling in the studio that day of just walking in and being like, oh yeah, this is what you're doing today. It was a very somber kind of feeling. Everyone was really respectful though, and even though the energy was really low, it was what was required of Cody to do that. But being able to do that on the spot, it takes a really good actor to do that.
So when it comes to preparation for those emotions, it all for me comes down to like the breath I can take before delivering the line. And all of my acting training over my entire life, I mean, decades of acting training, all has to be condensed into those 1 or 2 breaths I get to take right before I deliver the line, especially for something like the Cosmo Canyon speech scene,
Great
where she's
scene.
really talking about how who she is has been a curse, but her friendships have pushed her through and is able to give inspiration to those around her. A speech like that, I really just have to breathe in the emotions I feel and then express them, because there's no real time in my life where I've been surprisingly standing in front of a crowd asking them to give an inspirational speech.
Right.
So I can't really draw on my own personal situation, but I think about Aerith's backstory and Aerith as a character, and of course we listen to the Japanese performance and we really do our best to just tell the story, and honor that. I feel like the preparation is really all in taking a few deep breaths and changing the temperature of the room. Have you heard that in terms of acting before?
I have, but that's one of the hardest things in the world to do as an actor.
Yeah.
But that's what you've been doing.
You have to do that.
Yeah, so I want everybody and anybody who is hearing this to understand that task is one of the hardest things to do. Most of the actors that I know that can do that and actually pull that off are high ranking actors that we all look up to and that the world looks up to. That's a very hard skill to master and to do, and you've been doing it. So,
Thank you.
But I don't think you realize it. It's because it's just you, right? But that's very hard to do because everything we do is on a breath.
Right.
And a breath can control an emotion.
Yes.
And lead on and on and on. But that's very hard to do.
But I get the opportunity to be able to do that because it's the 3rd game, right? And I've been with Aerith since Remake and Crisis Core and now Rebirth. So I feel like it took all of that and all of my acting training through the years to be able to be ready the second I walk in the room, you know? And
Yes,
so,
but you know the through line. See what
Yeah.
I'm saying? A lot of people go, well, I'll just do it when it comes,
Right.
or it'll be natural, or I'll do method. No, you've prepared.
right.
You see what I'm saying?
It's building the foundation so that you can turn it on when you need to.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, and I don't think people realize that. I think they think what we do is organic. They don't understand the preparation that goes in, the time that goes in, the studying that goes in, the hours that goes in, the pitch, the range, they don't understand all the different things. So what you just said, I think should be part of an acting class for people to understand. This is what you have to be prepared.
Well, I would have to thank all my acting teachers for teaching that to me
Yes.
all that time.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure all of our cast has had formal acting training, right?
I think so. I don't know anyone that hasn't.
What was your acting training? Like, where did you feel like you got the most training from? Where do you lean on the most these days?
When I was an undergrad, I was understudying someone at the Penumbra Theater, which is where August Wilson started.
Wow.
Lou Bellamy was the artistic director. Lou Bellamy said, "All right, youngin." He kind of sounded like Barrett. "All right, youngin. Got all that acting stuff, all that stuff you're doing. Now I gotta beat it out of you."
Yeah.
That was my training. It's like my training was being beat down to build up.
Yeah.
And then taking a bit here, a bit there, a bit there, you know what I mean, and
Yes.
applying it.
Yes.
You know, and I was an only child, so it was kind of like, oh, I like that. No, I don't like that. Oh, I like that. You know, and ADD was kicking. ADD will kick you, boy. You know, so.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you have the energy of 10,000 suns. I don't know how you do it.
Because if we don't, this is how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you do too. You just don't say it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I got this much time on earth.
Yeah.
This much time. I got that much time to meet people. If I'm in a convention and if people have come to meet me for this, then I want them to get the best of me that they can get in that amount of time. So I try to give them everything that I got, you know, and I try to do it in love. I try to do it in patience, and I try to do it in joy, because I want them to enjoy that moment, because I don't know if I'm going to see them again, and they don't know if they're going to see me again. So whatever little time I have, I want to make sure that I encapsulate it so that it is an experience for them. Not for me, the joy that I get out of it is seeing them happy, and I want to make sure it's good. Because if I'm put on this earth to do that, then that's what I'm going to do.
How do you not love these people? It shows you how humble they both are, especially John, because you hear stories of celebrities and even sometimes voice actors where fans go to meet them and it's like, what's your name? Sign thing, move on. Or they have a really negative experience with somebody. But for them to realize like, hey, these people want to see us because of the work we put in and because it's affected them, and he's willing, regardless of how he's feeling or what they're going through, he's like, I've got a little bit of time and I'm going to make sure that they remember that. Because if I were to meet one of these people, I would remember that for the rest of my life. They would probably forget it because they meet so many people. But to ensure that everyone has such an impactful experience, that's so cool. You don't always get that a lot with voice actors and celebrities.
And I think everyone who's ever met you would agree that that's true, would say that that's what you're doing.
Then I got to keep doing it.
And what's amazing is that I think there are some versions of some people that they want to make meeting them an experience. They'll put a mask on in order to make that a good experience. You're the opposite. You take the mask off and you're just genuine with people. I mean, I really admire how you do that.
Well, I appreciate it. I think it's, you know, I know it's God, but I just think it's coming into the realization of, well, if I was a fan, what would I want?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not, don't get me wrong, because you and I both know there are some fans that want a little bit more, and we can't give them that.
Yes.
Can't give them that.
Yes.
I would be that way if I ever met Britt Baron. I love Britt Baron. I love Tifa. I think she's phenomenal. I've got a bit of a crush on Britt Baron. I would never be creepy or anything like that. But if I ever saw her, I'd be like, that's Britt Baron. That's Tifa. Like there are some people out there that get too parasocial, too close, and they expect, again, it goes back to spending so much time with these characters that you think you're entitled to more than what you're supposed to be entitled to. As a fan, anyway. I love Britt Baron.
Sign my back. Nope. Not signing your shoulder with a Sharpie. So,
You've never signed a shoulder before, John? Come on.
But no, I think that the experience that we get and seeing joy, which is why I'm thrilled that we're doing this together. Because you and I have talked about this for way back in 1999 or 2019.
1999.
1999 when I was 4. No. But 2019, the joy that we see that's so awesome to me.
When in the audition or casting process did you ever realize it was going to be like this many years later?
Oh, I didn't. When I saw the reaction of the people, that threw me.
And the game hadn't even come out yet.
It hadn't even come out.
Just a few trailers.
Yes, literally. And when I saw people in cosplay, I was like, wait a minute. I've seen this and I've heard of Comic-Con, but this is just Final Fantasy VII too? That threw me. And I'll never forget, Alex said, oh, you have no clue what's about to happen. And I didn't. And to this day, I'm not shocked at much because I've been in the Hollywood game for a minute. Like nothing really shocks me anymore. But that threw me.
Yeah.
And it still does.
Yeah.
Because you know how some people go, oh, they like me. They really, oh my gosh.
Yes.
It's like, I'm like, well, I was called for this?
Yes.
Whew. It's heavy and it's an honor.
Yeah.
And it's lovely.
Yes.
But it's like, yo.
Yeah.
It's a responsibility.
It's all of that. Absolutely.
Did you feel that way? Did you know?
I've been thinking about it, and because I was in the gaming space when, people were talking about it, I knew people were excited about it. But I didn't play the original Final Fantasy VII, so I didn't know exactly what a big deal it would be. But I do remember when I got cast thinking, people have posters of this character in their room.
Literally. Just your character.
Yes. Like, that was the thought that entered my mind that made me realize, like, oh, this is a big deal. And then it kind of came full circle at E3 in 2019 when they had a big poster display walking through the halls, and I got to take a picture with it. It's on my Instagram, and I still think about that. Like, there's a giant poster in the middle of the LA Convention Center of my character.
Yep.
This is going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And
it's big. Final Fantasy's big, but Final Fantasy VII in particular, just from the moment it released to now, I don't think the fans have ever really let up. There's YouTube channels who talk about Final Fantasy, specifically Final Fantasy VII, because of how much we love it. The fan base is super hardcore and super dedicated. Sometimes a little too hardcore. But yeah, it's big. And for them to acknowledge that, it's got to hit you like a truck.
And it just never stopped surprising me. It should have, but it never has. To this day, it never has stopped surprising me.
Speaking of that, knowing that you had never done a video game, knowing that this was the first voiceover job that you've had, how do you feel with the awards, the nominations and winning one? And I mean, I want to know, because that's fascinating to me.
It really doesn't feel real still. I mean, yes, I hoped. Yes, I've dreamed. And, I've wanted to be an actress my whole life. But I never thought it would be for video game acting. And I never thought that it would be my very first voiceover role.
Yeah.
I really did it. I don't feel like I belong here. And that definitely has a little imposter syndrome situation. Still.
Even after we talked and all the...
Yes, it never really goes away. And I try my best to say, thank you. I appreciate that, my imposter syndrome is trying to protect me, but I'm not going to let it affect my behavior. I'm still going to move forward, do the best I can. I'm going to embrace the moment as much as I can, and I'm not going to self-sabotage in any way because of my feelings, but it never goes away. It's always there.
I think some of the best actors in particular have imposter syndrome, and they never realize just how good they actually are. And then you've got people on, the planet who don't have imposter syndrome, who have all the confidence in the world and maybe shouldn't. And it's just kind of like, sometimes it feels like the wrong people get inflicted with imposter syndrome. But for her, again, this is her first role in voice acting, and she knocks it out of the park. It's so incredible for that to happen. It's also got to be incredibly scary because voice acting is not easy. On camera acting, you've got the benefit of facial expressions and body movement, but when you're just doing voice, you have to be able to express every single human emotion with just this, with just your mouth, your voice. You don't have the benefit of being able to make a face and use your body. So it's a skill, and she's really good at it. And so is John. Again, everyone in the cast really just kicks butt.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to bring it. Oh, this is really cool to hear, because once again, that's the humility that I met in 2019. That's the humble, breezy,
And to that point, you see these people, there's so many people that find success, whether it's YouTube or acting or music or whatever, and they let it change them and they become completely different people, and it goes to their head. And I think that's actually one of the, oddly enough, benefits of having imposter syndrome is you don't ever let it go to your head, because you're like, this could go away at any minute, or they could replace me or whatnot. I feel imposter syndrome a lot with YouTube videos. It's just YouTube. I'm just sitting here reacting to a video or talking about Final Fantasy, but I get in my head of like, is this good enough? Am I offering anything? Is my voice okay? Is the B-roll good enough? I stress over the B-roll so much. But yeah, it has not seemingly gone to any of their heads, which, you want people to stay humble and actually be kind and not get so sucked up in the success that they just become divas or buttheads.
That I met back in the day. And I have to tell you, and I didn't tell you this, and I'm not trying to get you emotional or anything like that, but I have to tell you.
Don't you make me cry.
No, I'm not. I promise you I won't. The acceptance speech that you gave for this award was one of the most genuine, most heartfelt acceptance speeches I've ever seen. And then you did an offstage interview with someone, and you shared how you felt. Some of the most genuine words that I've ever heard someone accepting an award. I've heard a lot of acceptance speeches. I've seen a lot of people, give thanks, but the words and it was just real. I've never seen that, especially for video games. You need to rewatch those, because that is the core of Briana. You know what I'm saying? That is who Briana is.
I'll be honest, I kind of blacked out.
I know you did. and I saw you posted that somewhere. And I'm telling you, you need to rewatch them, because that is who if you ever need to get back on track, back in line, which we all do, but I haven't seen you, haven't seen you astray. But I'm telling you, watch those two things. Okay. And they are just the realest, most humble. They're real. Some people, I won. Oh my goodness. It's just, they were real. And I don't think you're going to get anything like that in a lot of, in the world we're in now.
It's funny though, because like there was a period of time where people made fun of Taylor Swift because every time she won an award, it's like, come on, we all know you're going to win the award. And she would still act like, I won, like all shocked. But if you do watch her acceptance speech, she's clearly taken aback by like, wait, I won? Like, this is my award now? And the speech that she gives is really beautiful and super inspirational. And the other interview he was talking about, I remember seeing it, I think on TikTok. I can't remember what the publication was, but she was still like clearly in shock of like, holy crap, I did this. She's very genuine in that respect. And you can tell when people are being genuine or being fake, like John points out.
I'll tell you, I wasn't prepared because I really thought, and I still think like I had already won just by being nominated. And I didn't care if I won or lost because I had already won by being nominated. You know, I was excited to be there in the room with the people who make games that I love to play. That was a win, you know, just to be involved and participate.
Yeah.
That was so amazing.
We're fanboy and fangirl.
Truly, truly. It was like the dream, right? Just to be there. And then I won, they announced my name, and then I had to climb up on a stage with this weird block for a staircase. And I thought I was gonna fall, and then Neil runs over to grab my hand so I don't fall. And then I have to speak to this room with some level of composure, which I was very quickly losing, which is why I just quickly said, and thank you, and off I go. And so then I don't know if you can see it in the video, but my chest starts to heave because I start to really like lose it, like start to sob. Yeah, because I was like running off stage. And so now I'm like, okay, cool. I did my speech. Now I get to lose my mind and start crying. And then the person who's escorting me to the backstage area goes, okay, are you good to do like 5 press interviews? And I was like, oh,
So those came right after?
Directly after.
Oh my God.
And I had to like, okay, button it up. Don't cry yet. You have to say things to the camera. Yeah. I was truly not prepared, and I don't remember anything that I said.
That's why it's so real. It's genuine. Talk about an actor prepares. Goodness. No,
I was not prepared at all. At all.
That's awesome because it's raw emotion. And
it
that's
was
real. And you got to show people who you are.
But I hope that at the end of the day I expressed how I really feel and that it's not just about me. It's not. You know? I didn't do this alone. It has my name on it, but it should have everyone's name on it. You know? I leaned on you for your advice. I really leaned on our director and the audio engineer and the writers. I mean, the writers who gave us beautiful versions of these words that had to fit in the exact timing of the Japanese performances. I can't express that enough.
Yeah.
The entire thing is a group effort. And the thing I love about the cast is that they always stress that. You see any interview with John or any type of panel, he's always saying like Cody does an incredible job or Briana does an incredible job. They're always willing to put each other over to really showcase like how good of a job they've done. But again, it goes to writing and localization, the voice direction. But just to see the actors, like when Cody won, he accepted the award via video, but one of the first things he did was to give thanks to the entire cast, from Briana all the way to Tyler Hoechlin, as well as Kirk Thornton, their voice director. So they realized that it's not just me that won this award. It's a whole group effort, which it takes a village to make these games, especially just to focus on one character. That's a lot of work.
People don't understand the mocap acting.
Even that.
The directors,
yes,
the writers, the artists, the rendering, all the devs, Hamaguchi-san, Katase-san, our music.
Oh my gosh, the music, yeah.
Just
everything.
Everybody thinks it's about the finished product. I always say everyone sees the game.
Yeah.
On game day. They don't see practice.
Exactly.
Throughout the week. And so this is one of those labors of love, and it's not even a labor. It's a project that so many people have had their hands.
So many people. I really want to touch on the fact that you kept Barrett so grounded. I mean, even when I'm sure it wasn't easy for you to do, how How did you do that? How did you manage to keep Barrett so grounded?
It's tricky because of two things, and I know you know this as well. The mocap actor does what they do, and then the VO actor has to come in and, aside from, hearing the Japanese reference, we have to, when we do our thing, go, okay, this is what he's doing, or this is what our character is doing. This is how it sounds from what the OGs, what they originated. How do we blend that, right? Without, for me, compromising one, this toughness, or him being a man, or him being, whatever the scene may be. And there were times when the movement was so broad and so big, and I'm like, well, how am I supposed to do that? And it's an intimate scene.
Barrett is expressive. Barrett is a very expressive individual, and that's one aspect that I don't think a lot of people realize is, and I didn't even think of that until now, until John mentioned it, is it's one thing to do the voice performance, but you also have to kind of gauge the animation that you're seeing if you're provided with any type of video or reference. That also kind of shapes how you have to perform, which I think makes it even tougher.
And perfect example for me was the elevator scene in Remake.
I was just thinking about that.
Oh, when he goes, you can't tell me you can't hear the planet crying out. I know you can. When you eat, when you all that. It's like he's going off.
He is.
But that's
Crash
the
out.
intro to the relationship and the dynamics between the Avalanche team and bringing in Cloud, right? And I love Cody's line. Everything Cody does is one thing I learned from his character. And Cody did a brilliant job at undercutting.
Yeah.
You can do it on stage, but to do it in a video game, brilliant. You hear that? Get help. Awesome, right? So I'm like, how do I take all this broad movement, all these movements that he's doing, and make it so he's not so boisterous and big? Because that is who he is, but how do I do it to make it, we're in an elevator.
Yeah.
You know, so
which is an intimate, closed space.
Yes, and I'm like, well,
I mean, right? You would technically be right next to him, just like that.
Right. Or
yelling and screaming about the planet.
Yes, or literally the threat would be, say it again.
Yeah.
Right, but it wouldn't be this huge buildup physically. It would be an intense conversation. So I'm like, how do I do this and make it make sense? And so to try to blend it, I hope we did a good job. But
you did.
Well, here's the deal.
They did nail it. That scene is brilliant. Again, the way John describes Cloud, because Cloud in that moment, he's a real asshole. He's there for the money. He's a hired merc. He doesn't give a damn about what Avalanche is really doing or saving the planet. And Barrett is someone who's so passionate about it. He's devoting his life to it. And he's trying to preach to Cloud. And Cloud's just like, I don't really care, man. The performance between the two of them, he really does a great job of undercutting what Barrett is trying to get across to him in that scene.
Do a good job.
That was one of the trailers that came out.
Yeah.
So everybody who's seen, all the critics let him have it. You're like, well, he's doing this, and the Barrett's not black, and what is it? You hear all these crazy things,
all these opinions
and you go,
based off a trailer.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, how do I explain this? And my explanation was, you need to understand the very beginning of the game, Barrett and Cloud They start. That's the OG to now, everything. They started. Get down here, Merc. You better be worth every penny. All these different things you see open the game up. So for me, I had to go, all right, the elevator scene. We're going to make this work by everyone understand that Barrett is in layers.
Yeah.
And this is who you're going to get right here. And as big and as boisterous as he is, he has to be that way because he has to prove to this new guy. And then the other team already knows, here's one of his speeches again. So this is what we're going to do. But no one wanted to look at the fact that this is a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's how I had to explain to people, this is the beginning, a middle, and an end. You can't just judge it off of a trailer.
And
People do that all the time. With video games or movies or TV shows, we see one section and someone goes, that's not how I remember it, or this line delivery's not good, even though it's probably not the final line delivery, or special effects aren't finished, or they know the story and they know the characters, but they forget the piece you're seeing, like John says, it's from the beginning of the game, and you gotta build to what you know. So I always try to not rush to judgment on this stuff. You can be apprehensive, but you got to keep in mind, we're just seeing snippets out of context for most of this.
I think that's so interesting because when people talk about, with Aerith, how do you balance the fact that she is playful but also sassy and tough but also sweet? It's just paying attention to each line, and each line is different, and then all together that creates a mosaic of a performance.
Yes.
Which is why you can't just take one line of a character and say, oh, this represents a character.
No.
You can't create balance in one line.
It's true.
Right?
So for me, when we have our scenes, our sweet and salvo is awesome, by the way. Let's just be honest.
It really
The combo move is pretty darn
it's
the
best.
glasses, everything.
I use it whenever I can.
You know what I'm saying? So when we have scenes where we're in our party, or when we're, Cosmo Canyon, or for me, I always ask in the booth, hey, can I hear what everyone sounds like? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, no, we don't have it all on one file. And like, okay. So I have to remember what each of you sounds like. I have to remember what Susie sounds like as Yuffie. I have to remember what Britt sounds like as Tifa. I have to remember what Cody sounds like as Cloud. See the as part. I have to remember what Breezy sounds like as Aerith. So I have to go, these are the voices that I know, and this is a song, and the mosaic that you're talking about painting. They give me the scene, and I see what we're supposed to be doing within the scene. And I go, okay, this is what I hear, okay, and this is this color, and this is this color, and this, okay, so where's my color coming? Okay, is he green today, or is he brown? And I put it together, and then I go, okay, this is what's pleasing to the ear. Bam. And then you get the line.
Did you just describe the sounds as colors?
Yeah, because I just had this conversation with Michelle. I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
Synesthesia. It's called synesthesia, I think, when I almost said you can hear colors. That's not what it is. But when you associate colors with certain things, or some people associate certain colors with numbers. Like for some people, a 1 is white or a 3 is green. I think that's what they're going to go into.
I see sounds, the colors.
Really?
Right? And I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was a name for it. I
is.
didn't know any of this stuff.
It's synesthesia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I tell you? Sometimes I am smart. Not all the time. Sometimes.
Yeah, and I never knew that. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was just different, right?
So Barrett is sometimes green and sometimes brown, or who's green and who's brown?
Barrett's not always green and brown.
Oh, okay.
So you're there's times when you're that color, which is a deep purple.
Deep purple, okay.
And then, but for the most part, it's what is it, violet? Is that a lighter?
Like a lavender?
It's a lavender.
Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
so it's different. Susie is an orange.
Yeah.
And hers ranges. She can go to red orange, like a blood orange at times, depending on how sassy she is in the scene.
Yes.
Britt is pink.
Really?
Britt is pink, but it goes to this deep fuchsia when she's in a relationship with, if there's the scene we do in the house at the very beginning of Rebirth.
Yes.
She's a deep purple because she's thinking the whole time. And when Cloud goes through his thing, so she's a deep pink. At the time when I was hearing the voices, red is orange. He's a real weird orange. I know he's orange, but he's always orange. He's never Susie's orange. He's pastel orange.
Oh.
That makes sense.
And then when you know what happens, when I tease him about, he's yellow.
Really?
He's a yellow when you actually hear his voice.
That is fascinating.
Man, so it's weird to me, so I'll see colors. Cody's always blue or dark blue, or midnight blue is what I call it.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I see these colors, and I'm like, nah, that color doesn't go together, or that doesn't blend. And this note does this, but that note does this.
I'm amazed hearing that.
But it's fun because it's because that's my parameter.
Yeah.
And I've leaned into it more now because now I know it's not weird or
no, it's how your brain processes.
And so it's fun.
Audio.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm glad he said that because I do that sometimes too, where I just associate specific colors with things or people or voices, and the way that he describes it makes sense to my brain, especially Cloud being the blue color. It's so fascinating to hear someone actually talk about that, especially from Final Fantasy. But yeah, the way that John describes experiencing synesthesia, it's insane. I also learned that some people apparently do not have an inner monologue or an inner dialogue in their head. They don't hear anything. You ask someone to visualize something in their head like an apple. Some people can't visualize an apple. I can visualize a specific type of apple in my head. So it's kind of weird how our brains work, but that's super cool to hear him talk about synesthesia and describing all of the characters and what colors kind of reflect them, but also their moods. That's honestly, like, this is valuable information. If you're someone who wants to be an actor or a voice actor, I love acting. I'd love to do it again someday, but all of this stuff is like free. It's free gratis. That's what it is.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, but Barrett is sometimes just, he's dark maroon. It's
It makes sense.
I'm looking at that rug over there. He's darker
Burgundy.
than that. Like Matt's, like Vincent's cape.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Or
Barrett
like
will go
Tifa's
there.
eyes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
I
amazing.
love
So it's cool. It's very cool. But I have to hear him
Yeah.
to see him.
It's amazing how so much of acting, almost every part of acting, is all just imagination.
Senses.
Yes.
senses.
Yes. And
You
it's
have to rely
really,
on 'em.
each actor is individual in how they create an emotion
Yeah.
and express that, because that's how we all process differently in our minds.
Yeah.
It's so unique and individual. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun because there are times when it'll drive me a little nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who am I with today? What scene is this? Okay. You know, so at the Michelle, my wife will tell you, at the end of the day, I'm just like, and a lot of people
Yeah.
think it's because of the strain of the
No,
voice.
it's mental.
Because Barrett is always loud.
Yes.
And he's always not glottal, but he's in his throat. You know.
He growls.
He does.
Yeah.
He's a big old bear.
Yeah.
So that is tedious, but the brain,
Yes.
you know, bouncing from scene to scene, like you say, we don't know what we're gonna do all the
Nope.
time. Bouncing from scene to scene, seeing all these different things, hearing all these different things, everything's here. That's why I said if
And
people
we
got it
never
here,
get the chance to act together.
never.
We are always alone in the room
Solo.
with our microphones.
Yep, solo.
I think it would be fun to do a cast read all in the room together.
If we did what
Could
that
we-
was my very
can we
first
ask to
job.
do
Oh,
that?
I'm gonna ask her.
We
should've
gotta
never
do
brought
that. Just
up.
a group read
An
where we can all
ensemble
be in the
piece?
same
Yes,
room.
that would be
A little
brilliant.
behind the scenes document. Okay.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
I hope that happens one day. Again, when it comes to voice acting, most of the time the actors are isolated. In some rare occasions, like Final Fantasy XVI, the early stages of that, the actors were together. They did the mocap, they did the facial capture, and they did the voice acting in the same booth together. But I think that was around the time that COVID was starting to hit, so it forced them to isolate and do like traditional voice acting where you're just in the booth by yourself. But to see this cast be able to actually bounce off each other live, whether it's at a convention or for like a specific video, or maybe even, you know, for 7 Remake Part 3, if they experiment with some of the recording and allow some of the actors to record together, assuming schedules line up, because these people are super busy, I think that would be astonishing. And it would change the performance, because it's one thing to hear the person from a recording, but then you actually have them and their energy with you. I hope this happens one day. That would be so cool.
That would be brilliant.
Excuse me, we're pitching that.
Yep, we
we
have
could just
to.
all get in the room for a scene.
That
That'd
would
be
be
really
brilliant.
cool.
That would be brilliant because it would flow different.
It-
Justin would go nuts.
Oh well, yeah.
You'd be like, I
I
can
mean,
keep up, slow down.
it wouldn't be usable as far as putting it into the game with how precise
Exactly.
we have to be, but it would be
Exactly.
fun for
It would
us
be
to
very
do.
fun.
And I think the fans would like to see that too.
Oh, I know they
Just all
would.
of us get into a room and act together, you know,
I think someone
like
should.
like the theater.
Someone should do that when we do a convention or something
Oh, that
together.
would be
We're all
really
together.
cool.
Like,
That would be really
y'all hear that, Square Enix? Put us all in the room together and give us a little script, just something. You can have it for your archives.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be really fun. Hey, you and me should act out a scene right now.
See, you're like the
Let's do
person.
it.
You sing? Sing.
Let's do it. The only one I can think of is the classic line that people's favorite Aerith line.
Oh
in
no,
Rebirth.
I'm not doing that. No, I
wanna do
can't
that
look
one?
at you and say that. That's mean. That's a mean line.
Yeah, but she throws it back at you. That's the fun of
She
it.
does. I can't even
Yeah.
remember how the whole thing goes. We
It's
should
a
have
really
written it
long
out.
lead-in, yeah. Because you're talking about Shinra propaganda.
Yeah.
But then you come in with the only dumbasses believe that
Right.
shit.
Yeah. And then you're like, so you calling me a dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't do that with you in front of me.
Barrett forgot for a moment that Aerith grew up.
And was right there. It's like he's a bull in a china shop. Sometimes he doesn't realize.
Foot
it's
in
around.
mouth for sure.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, like he didn't even say, I didn't mean it that way. Because part of him wants to go, well, if the shoe fits, but I'm not gonna say that. You
Wow.
know? Yes, that's what he would say.
Okay, if we're gonna talk about scenes from the game, what is your favorite Aerith scene from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth?
I just think when we get to the temple, and I don't know if you know it, because your voice changes. The majestic part of Aerith, how you change your voice goes into a different octave. That's one of the most, I think it's brilliant. I think visually it's brilliant, but I think audibly it's just like, the speech, it's not, first of all, most people don't do monologues anymore.
Yeah.
I think Tom Cruise and Denzel Washington have always been just masters of it, right?
Who doesn't love Denzel?
But most people don't do it anymore, unless they're adapting a play, like when Denzel did Fences, and everything. But most people can't do monologues anymore because audiences can't be drawn into them.
It's an attention span thing, yeah.
You did it.
Me?
Yeah, with that, to me, is a monologue within a video game.
Oh,
when you
yeah.
talk about that part right there, to me, is just one of those, that's who she is, and she's inviting us into her world. And wait a minute, what do you mean trials? All of us have individual trials. Where are we?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're in my world.
Yeah.
Without saying, you're in my world. It's, and that to me is one of the most powerful, visually, audibly, most powerful scenes to me. It's my favorite.
The moment you step foot on that land for the Temple of the Ancients, Aerith changes. Like John says, her voice changes, the way she behaves changes. You feel that heaviness that she always feels. I just realized that in the moment, just now, like, holy crap, that weight that Aerith feels as a character throughout her entire journey, everyone else gets to feel it now the moment you land on that soil. And then you get the speech before the trials and after the trials, and it's just, I'm learning new things about these characters and these performances and just like the scene analysis as we watch this stuff. This is why I love this stuff, man. There's so much stuff that I don't even think about or don't process in the moment that they do because they're responsible for, bringing it to life. Man, that's cool.
Well, I think I have to say my favorite Barrett scene.
Yeah, you better. No,
Okay, in that case, I'll say two.
You have more than one?
I do.
Okay, I'm shocked because I thought you were going to, I didn't know what you were going to say, but go ahead.
The entirety of Barrett's story arc with Dine is so incredibly complex. It's very heavy, but also it's incredibly relatable. You managed to take a fantastical story that is fully Final Fantasy and make it about two real people. And the way that I watched that scene and I feel like I could relate to that in a way, like I could relate to it with people in my own life. I think we've all seen someone we love lose their mind a little bit.
Go through it.
And that's really horrible. And I think we've all been through relationships where we feel guilty about the way that we handled things.
Yep.
That's really, really heavy. And you managed to bring such a depth to that performance that almost held a mirror up to the player. And we all put ourselves in Barrett's shoes in that moment.
Thanks.
That was incredible. I don't know how you did that.
Well, it was both of us. I mean, the story behind how it was created, how the thought process was. As an actor, you use substitution, and you already know the story. I don't know how it came out of my mouth when we were in DC, but I went through a situation very similar to that in real life, and so it was. I'm not gonna say it was easy to put that in there, but it was. That's how we created it, and it sounds like it moved a lot of people. It moved me definitely. Before we did the scene, I remember I told Kirk, I need a minute. Because like you, I was in the booth, I was like, oh, we're about to, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We took a break, and then after we did it, we took another break. Because, because of the nature of how it came about. But I'm glad to hear that you liked that one.
It's amazing, but it's not my favorite.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is, imagine Barrett and Cloud running through the forest chasing a dog.
Oh, that.
You go from something super heavy and serious to the salmon side quest. Again, like the stuff with Barrett and Dine, the cutscenes, the way it's written and performed is, I think, maybe one of the best scenes in the game in terms of like the story stuff and the performances. You can say there's a lot of criticisms rather on the combat of that section of the boss battle being this really like big over the top kind of spectacle, when maybe it should have been like it was in the original, where it was more grounded and more intimate, because that's what the scene kind of calls for. But John, just like if John gets it like shortlisted for the BAFTAs and wins, that I think is the scene they're going to point to of like, this is how good this dude is. The reverse of that is Barrett crashing out super hard, trying to open up to Cloud of all people on the salmon side quest in Junon about Marlene growing up and eventually leaving him, and Cloud being like, dude, like, get your shit together. It shows you just how layered of a character Barrett is, but also how much range John has.
And Barrett talks about how Marlene is just his little baby, and one day he's gonna have to let her go.
Yeah,
and he
fun.
Just talks about all the classic father things, and it's so sweet and so relatable. And it's like, I heard my own father talking when you were speaking.
That's hilarious.
I mean, truly, it was you must have drawn on your own experience being a father for those.
In different ways.
Yeah.
It was like, with my boys. My boys have been an instrument of me using them to substitute for Marlene at different times in the Wall and remake, different situations. But I will say this for that particular scene, because you can hear Barrett's voice crack.
Yes.
And there were things that were done intentionally because in 2017, both myself and my wife, Michelle, lost our dads in the same year. And we went through a lot of pain during that time. And I got to see, because I'm an only child, I got to see what a daughter's grief was like, right? Towards losing her dad. Regardless of circumstances, regardless of being reared in the home, I got to see pain, like up close and personal on so many levels. And so I'm like, well, I can use my relationship with the boys, but this is how my wife grieved, and this is how I try to comfort her through that grief. So now let's take the relationship with the boys and my wife and put that realism of love and care and nurturing into, oh my gosh, here's a memory of me thinking about Marlene while we're running through the swamp or on, on chocobos or, looking at, Cloud Jr. and all these different little things. So that was fun to do. But once again, I think realism always has to come from a place of truth.
Yeah.
And that was a very harsh place of truth that, sometimes we relate to it as emotional in a bad way. Then sometimes we have to make light of a situation by making it humorous so that we can get through it.
It's, as you speak, it's really like inspiring me to think about all of the people who've come up and said to me, You're the only person who could play Aerith like this. And I have, for the longest time, thought, no, that's not really true. There are many, many talented actresses. And that's true. And if I hadn't gone to that audition, they would have found someone just as amazing. And I really believe that. There's so many talented people out there. But hearing you talk about how your life experiences affect the performance that you create as Barrett, really no one else could have done that but you, because that comes from you.
Same thing with you, though.
But I can say that about you, but I can't see it about myself.
No, we already proved that point. And I know that there are a lot more talented actors out there than me. Many more. Same thing. I'm the same way. But we were called for such a time as this, right? We did the audition, and there were a lot of people who auditioned.
I think about that all the time.
A lot of people. And they chose our voices first round, okay? And then they chose other people for that first round. And they listened to them. And they said, okay, well, we like these people. So you're still in a group out of hundreds maybe more than that. And so you still have to come back and they want to hear you again. So my thing is, yeah, you're unique in what you do and you brought what you do to that character, but they heard, I always say, let them hear that sound. Whatever that sound is, it's like, oh no, we need him for the job, or no, we need her for the job. But no, that is the voice. You know, and whatever they heard was what allowed us to get the job. I know it sounds like arrogant. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but we've been talking about our craft and how we do it.
Yeah.
So therefore, we got the job. Thank goodness. Let's hold on to that. And I think that's what makes it unique. When we put the personalization in it.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there's plenty of other people that could have got it, but we did.
Yeah.
So they heard something that they liked, and we're about to go into part 3.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah.
So I always say, when you're called for such a time as this, nobody can really take that away from you unless you choose to give it away. You're the reason, they chose you.
I don't know why.
None of us do, right? Think about the auditions. No, he's too tall. No, she's too short. No, her hair is blonde. No, his hair is dark. What we don't know, but whatever it was, we got the job, right?
And we just have to make the most of it.
Not just the most of it, we have to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And we have to give justice to the writing.
Yeah.
And we have to honor the legacy behind it.
Yeah.
And they knew that we would. Got me? So whatever it is that allowed us to get it, we got it. And they've trusted us to do it. And something about us allowed them to go, oh, I trust that they're going to do it right. I'm happy we got it. I'm still amazed at the stories we hear, but here we are.
Here we are.
Here you are. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So don't let anybody take that from you.
You're the best.
Oh, you bomb too, but you gotta that imposter syndrome. It's good that it comes up. It's your checking the, it's your checking the side, right?
Yeah.
It's what keeps you who you are.
Keeps me grateful.
Keeps you humble.
Yeah.
And we all have them. It's just how many people actually listen to it.
Yeah.
Or how many people are affected by it. Never grow numb. Never grow numb from being affected by it, because that's what's going to keep you who you are.
This was wonderful.
This is awesome.
I knew it would be.
It's breezy.
Because it's John.
It's breezy.
Any excuse I get to chat with John, I'll take it.
Let's keep it up.
Let's do it.
We got part 3 coming out.
Part 3.
See Selma.
John is so motivational. How do you not listen to that man and be like, no, like and oh my gosh, there's so much to pull from at the end of that there. To both of their points, like, yeah, Brianna's right. You could have gotten any talented actor to do it, but these versions of the characters are so them. You're not going to get this version of Barrett from another actor because John pulls from his own life experiences and puts that into the character. Same with Brianna. And obviously these characters are massive. They're bigger than anyone who portrays them. We've had previous, people voice the characters before. Steve Burton, for example, was the previous voice of Cloud. Now we got Cody Christian, but they all have their distinct versions of these characters and are able to kind of again, draw on personal experiences to help kind of put their stamp on this version of the character. And like you're not going to get this version of Barrett from somebody else. You might get someone who can imitate this version of Barrett, but what makes it so special is because it's John that's portraying this Barrett. What makes this Aerith so special is because it's Briana. And they've already given monumental performances, and there's still so much left in the story of Final Fantasy VII for Part 3. Like you said, they're heading into Part 3. What more can they possibly do? I'm super excited to just see and hear these performances. And whenever these types of videos come out, I think it's just so valuable to watch it, whether it's from like just an entertainment perspective or fan perspective, or if you're another actor or someone who's a game dev. It really gives incredible insight to what these people go through in their entire process to, you know, essentially work as a team to bring the characters and the story and the game to life. It's a big group effort, and this was a really fun watch. I love these two together. They bounce off of each other so well. I hope we get more of these with the rest of the cast. It's just so much fun to watch. I don't know if I added anything to this video. I might have made it worse, but it's fun to do these from time to time. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of this interview with Briana and John, and their process of becoming these characters and what it means to them and what it means to us. I'm Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.